They were playing as if they were going to die. This is we have some information to impart to you, the crowd, which is so vital and it brimming with righteous fury.
Welcome. We are Neil,
Luke, and Dave.
340-somethings reminiscing on the runners and riders of 90s guitar music.
We look at the bands who soundtracked our youth on both sides of the pond and interview some of our heroes from the bands that defined a generation.
You'll hear about the good, the bad, and the ugly of 90s guitar music.
This podcast is Stupid and Contagious. Episode 92 of the Stupid and Contagious podcast. We're talking to Ian Prowse later on. Well, we're not live. We've done that. But we've got the interview coming later on. It's a good one. We took a week out last week. Luke's got some stuff going on. So we just threw in an old classic. It seemed to go down quite well, to be fair.
Apologies, everyone. Yeah, some family business to deal with. So apologies for that. But yeah, we're back again now.
But yeah, so we threw in Roddy Bottom interview. Yeah, I just thought it would bomb because I thought people had probably seen it before. But yeah, actually did quite well.
And it's a great interview.
When he was on, there weren't that many people listening, were there?
No, that's what. Maybe that's it.
Episode
maybe
2,
a lot of
3,
people hadn't heard it. 3, yeah.
It's a much shorter episode as well. None of this crap.
I know. That's what I was. When I put it together, I thought, fucking hell, it's only it's half the length, pretty much. We just decided to really sort of go self-indulgent and make it all about ourselves.
That's what podcasts are for, man.
But no, I had a listen. I really enjoyed it. It was a good interview. Still is one of the best ones, I think, with him in his dressing gown and stuff. It's great.
Yeah, it's good. Yeah.
No, but thanks everyone for tuning in anyway. Because like I said, we were a bit worried that no one was going to listen, but appreciate you tuning in.
Do you reckon he was naked under it?
I hope so.
What's your thinking? I think pants.
What do you want? What do you want it to be?
Yeah, what do you want it to be?
I don't know, really. Pants, probably. I'd rather
like boxer shorts, Y fronts, jockstrap, boxers, loose boxers, or like the tight style.
I think you need quite loose. No disrespect, but at his age, our age.
No. You need tighter to keep the balls. It's like having a bra. You need to keep the balls supported more. Yeah,
I go tight. Dave's a baggy.
Yeah, I don't like it tight.
Flying everywhere.
I go loose in the summer because it gets so hot over here. Tight in the winter.
Right.
Good idea.
Seasonal pants.
Seasonal pants.
Yeah, see, there was none of this in the Roddy interview. It was just, we didn't get any of this stuff.
Yeah.
What else? Has been going on? Look, you got back from Korea or something?
Just got back from Korea about 2 or 3 hours ago. Yeah. Went over there for a conference. It's good. Drinking in a bar until like 1:30 a.m. this morning.
Who with?
Yeah. 1:37 a.m. actually. I looked at my watch when I left the bar.
Who with?
Well, I went in by myself and there just chatting to a few people. Like the bar owner, he was really friendly. He's like, have another drink. And I'm like, no, I gotta get off. I gotta get a plane in the morning. He's like, I'll buy you a beer. Come on. I was like, all right. Then. So it's good.
That's quite good that you went in there.
But there were a couple of other
way around.
I know exactly. So this is not a good way to do business, man. But he also owned like some guest houses and stuff in the area. So there were a lot of kind of like foreign people coming in and out.
Wheel you in. He's trying to wheel you in, wasn't it?
No, it was fun.
Wheel you in? Reel you in.
Reel you in. Yeah.
So that's good though, that you went in there on your own like a loser.
Yeah. It's the way to do it, right? If you're traveling, it's the way to do it.
Do you speak Korean as well?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Do you speak
No, not a word. And I felt really guilty about it because like you can't even read a word if it's all in Hangul. And even like basic words, I just can't do it. So now I felt a bit of a wanker for not even speaking a word of it.
Are, and so you should. Unbelievable.
I mean, I was only there for like 4 days, 3 days, 3.5.
You can't learn every language to every country you go to, can you?
No, I know. Exactly.
Fucking hell. You're making it difficult for yourself.
Went to a jazz bar as well another night.
Jazz bar?
I wasn't by myself, but I went to a jazz bar. It was a real kind of like shooby-dooby-dooby kind of jazz style, like female jazz vocalist. It was cool. It was great.
Yeah. Johnny hates jazz too.
I know he does.
So do I.
I know.
But that sounds good. Sounds like cultural.
I mean, I was working, of course. I was working. But
Oh,
Yeah.
of course.
It's business
Yeah.
trip.
So
Yeah.
no music of sorts. to talk
No,
about.
well, I listened to the new. Oh fuck! I listened to the new McCluskey album. It's really good. It's
Oh, you
great.
said, yeah.
I reckon. I looked. They started in 1999, so they might qualify as guests.
Yeah, they will. Yeah.
Well, of course they do.
I don't think they put
they
anything
do.
out until the 2000s, but they started in 99.
Oh yeah, we've had.
I'd love to speak to them. Yeah, really good. First album in over decades, and it's great.
And Dave, you've been on your travels as well, haven't you? All the way up to London yesterday, didn't you? This weekend.
Yeah, all the way up there. Fucking
What
hell.
a big boy.
I know.
What are you
Stayed
doing
in the
there?
Premier Inn, didn't he? With Lenny Henry.
Yeah, and it was a Premier Inn.
Oh, bet it was.
Well,
What's
go
the
on,
difference?
Tell us more.
No, it's quite one of the better ones. It's like a
course.
tower block canary.
Yeah, you would just stay in any old shit, would you?
Oh, and I went on the Elizabeth line.
Yeah.
Don't
I've
know
been
what that
dying
is.
to go on that.
Is it a new tube line?
No, it's not.
What is it?
Crossrail. Have you heard of Crossrail?
No. Is it like a train company?
What do you mean you've been dying to go on it?
I know CrossFit.
It's a train, right?
Yeah, I love trains. I like, big infrastructure projects.
Do you remember there was a band called I Like Trains?
Yeah, I do remember.
Yeah. Anyway, go on,
Dave
Dave.
said he said he loves big infrastructure projects.
Such a wanker, isn't he?
Yeah.
How was it? How was it? Line? Did it live up to your expectations?
Well, to be honest, it just felt like the other tube trains, but a bit bigger.
Right.
But what it is, it's a big overland train that goes right under London from west to east.
It starts over and goes under.
Yeah, it
comes
goes
back out
into,
again.
starts at
Like
Reading.
James Bond car going into the ocean. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. Does it do a loop-the-loop?
No, doesn't do that. That would be silly.
Do they
wouldn't it?
prop up the dead
Like a
corpse
corkscrew.
of the Queen to drive it? It's named after it.
Yeah.
They must do.
Luckily, she survived for the opening.
Right.
Oh,
But
thank
you
God.
must have been.
Thank God for
So
that.
you must have been really disappointed when they cancelled HS2. Fucking hell.
They haven't, mate.
Yeah.
Still
Oh,
going.
He's
okay.
refusing to let go of it, isn't he? He's in denial.
I'm not in denial. You're just wrong. It's going. It's being built.
Yeah, of course it is,
Yeah,
yeah.
all right. Yeah,
Yeah.
of course. Yeah,
Yeah,
they finish
yeah,
it
yeah,
soon,
of course.
don't they? Yeah. You go.
Well, listeners can confirm that I'm the one who knows what I'm talking about.
I
It
wish
hasn't
I'm
been
sure you are.
cancelled. It's being built, mate.
All right.
They cancelled the bit north
yeah,
of Birmingham.
no one cares. No one cares.
What were you doing up in London?
We went to see some Swedish comedians,
Oh, that sounds good, actually.
which I
Oh.
did struggle a bit to follow it, but I got
Did
I
you
got
just
quite
laugh
In
when
through it.
Swedish?
everyone else laughed?
Yeah.
That's
Did
great.
you understand any of it?
Yeah, a fair bit. But yeah, I can't pretend to laugh. I just can't do it. So I just had to sit there
Have they got a
stone
different
faced
laugh?
when I didn't get it. Not really, but they were quite excited. The people there.
Were they?
Yeah.
Good crowd.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It was Victoria laughing a lot.
yeah, she was actually.
Did you just laugh
Yeah.
when she laughed?
I've already answered this. Nick.
Neil, how about you? What have you been up to?
Van stuff. Put the floor in the boot. The electric's nearly done. Started on the plumbing. Oh, it's just taken so long. I really regret starting it now.
Just give up.
No. Just give up, yeah.
Can't. No,
You might as well.
got to keep
You
going.
got to learn to let things go
Take
sometimes.
it apart piece by piece. Take everything out piece by piece.
It's just fucking. I'm getting there, but it's just.
It's the sunken
everything
cost
takes
fallacy.
So long.
I think you have to keep going, you know?
I do that because it's my
Yeah.
house, so I've got to keep going.
That's true. You're building a
Otherwise, I
house,
haven't got a
really.
house. It's a lot when you don't know anything about anything.
But do you
Yeah.
need plumbing really? Just go without water and
Well,
wait.
this is the thing. I'm getting it to
Shit
a
in a
point
bag.
where I'm getting it to a point where I could just easily just go off, shit in a bag, and it'll be fine.
Yeah. But no, man. Get it done properly. Job worth doing is worth doing well.
I'm just
Well, I
going to
always
shit
say.
in a bag. It's a good idea.
Or just shit in a bag.
Just hang them up, can't I?
I'd hurl them out the window. Small children.
Yeah, fuck it. That's it. I'm done. I'm
Yeah.
off.
Yeah.
See you later. Sayonara, Dick Max.
Don't use those bags with the little holes in those so you don't suffocate. You have to get proper dog poo bags.
Yeah.
All right. You'd know all about that, wouldn't you?
They probably have human versions for the van community, don't they?
Probably. Yeah.
think so.
Yeah.
You just get a Great Dane dog poo bag.
Right.
Are
good
they
dog.
different?
I'm sure we had some music news, but I can't think of it.
Oh, there's that kneecap stuff, wasn't there? I mean, that's a
there
couple
is
of
the
weeks
kneecap
old now.
stuff. Luke, you must know what's going on with that, right?
Yeah, a little bit. Dave, do you want to give an overview?
Someone's just dug up some obscure bit of footage from something daft they said years ago, and it's just blown up out of all proportion, basically.
But
And
loads
it's
of
probably
bands
no
have come out.
coincidence. Yeah, it's no coincidence that they're very outspoken about Palestine and whatnot.
Right.
Yeah, so it started. They had like they were in Coachella, and they had a sign on top of the stage saying "Fuck Israel, Free Palestine," which is a fair comment, right? And then
Yeah,
because
I'd
of
go with
that, yeah, they basically dug up like they've said this old stuff where they said about killing your MP and stuff, and it was pretty silly. And they apologized to it, and they apologized directly to the families of Joe Cox, etc., etc. But it wasn't enough to satiate the outrage of the media, right? Who's still supporting Israel somehow through it all.
Yeah, loads of artists have come out in support of kneecapped anyway.
Yeah, including Ed Borey, I saw earlier on
Of
Facebook.
course.
Yeah.
Our friend Ed.
Wow.
Of course he
Is that
would.
the song? I want to kill somebody, right?
And
oh yeah, there you go. But like the song says, it's not that I want them dead. It's just the world would be a better place if they've never existed, right? Which is a good way to look at it.
Yeah, so that's all been going on, hasn't it? So that's
and somehow Israel is still allowed to compete in Eurovision.
Yeah.
That's coming up this week.
But there were loads of Palestinian flags at the opening ceremony.
There were
red
last
carpet
time,
thing,
weren't
weren't there? Yeah.
Yeah, hopefully. We can't get too political, can we? On here?
There's nothing political. What's said before? There's nothing political about saying stop killing children. That's not a political stance, is it?
Yeah,
it's not a political stance.
It's not.
Yeah.
There was something else, I'm sure.
Listen to the new Propaganda record as well. It's not very good.
Well, that wasn't it, was it?
Thought it might not. Thought it might be. New Propaganda. I like a bit of Propaganda, but it's just not a good album. It's not good.
I mean, it's not music related, but we got a new Pope.
Oh
yeah.
American Pope.
Oh man, there must have been a massive Stubby session to get that fucking sorted, right? And he came out of it at the end. They smoked so much dope that the smoke exploded out the chimney. That's how much. Exactly. That's how much. That's the size of the doobie they were smoking.
That's how they do it. So when they get to the point that they're nearly elected, they all do a bong. That comes out the chimney, and that's how they know.
And whoever's still on their feet at the end of doing the massive bong is the winner. It's the only explanation for the smoke.
I mean, it's a good way to choose it. You've got to have stamina, haven't you, to be the Pope?
That's why I could never have been Pope.
I don't think I could either.
No. Yeah.
Oh, that's why they're all so quiet all the time. Stoned off their fucking heads, isn't they?
Yeah.
See, that Roddy didn't have any of this.
Maybe that's why the figures were so good.
Exactly.
Possibly. Right, so should we get into this week's episode? Ian Prowse of Pele, Amsterdam, and himself. Let's do it. So if you are watching this, then please do remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Get involved in the comments. Let us know any of your favourite Ian Prowse records, Amsterdam Pele records, gigs, all that stuff. And if you're listening, then please do rate and review and share it with your friends either way so that they can find the podcast. We've had some new followers, listeners these last couple of weeks. So thank you. Welcome if you're new. You can sponsor the podcast if you want to promote anything.
I'd like a promotion. I've never had a promotion in my life. Oh no, I did. I did go from clearing tables to waiter at Drusilla's. That's the only promotion I've ever had.
I don't think I've had one.
I've put my application in. I put my promotion application in last week. I don't know if it's going to be approved or not. I don't find out for a while, but I'll let you know.
Do they watch the podcast?
Yeah. I hope not. It gets voted on. Every faculty member has to vote, like a secret ballot.
It's like the conclave.
I'll send them a link to the podcast.
No, please don't.
You just all go and smoke dope. That's how they do it.
So yeah, I'll let you know in a few months.
But yeah, you can sponsor our podcast. Just send us an email at stupidandcontagiouspodcast@gmail.com if you've got something to promote. Or if you just want to shout out to someone, all that sort of stuff, send us an email. We've got an app. Download it from the iTunes store, Stupid app. You can go seamlessly from the podcast to the mixtape that Luke puts together each week. That's it. A bit rusty because it's been a couple of weeks. I think that's it. Ian Prowse. I think most of our listeners will know who Ian Prowse is, right?
I would have thought so. Yeah. Dave, did you know?
No, but he's very familiar. I don't know. I must have seen him on TV or something, but I hadn't heard of Pele.
Oh, okay.
The band.
Did you recognise the logo? Did you Google him? Did you recognise the logo when you saw it? No. Okay, that kind of multicoloured. No, okay.
See, I knew the name, but I didn't really know much of the music. But genuinely, it was one of my favourite. It was definitely one of my highlights of Shine On. Really enjoyed his set. Well, their set. It was with Amsterdam. Just thought they were really good.
Well, I've always thought he's a great songwriter, so I was pretty excited when you said you got him. So yeah. Do you want me to tell you about him and then stuff he's done? Yeah. All right. So singer-songwriter, I guess is the best description, right? We talk about it in the interview, but he's been called the Scouse Springsteen.
Hang on.
And
I haven't Wikipedia'd
that later. Oh, go on then. Sorry.
Ask me?
I didn't. Sorry. I'm out of practice.
What we're doing, haven't we?
I know.
Oh, English singer-songwriter.
That's good. There you go. Born 10th of January 1964. So he's 61. 64. There you go. Ellesmere Port.
He doesn't look it, does he?
Outside Liverpool. He doesn't. He looks great.
No.
Yeah.
I hope I look that good when I'm 61.
Yeah, you won't. So he talks about it in the interview, but he had a band quite early on. When in Rome, he talks about it then. But formed Pele in 1989. And I won't go into it too much because he gives quite a lot of information about it in the interview. But basically, his vision was the Jam meets the Waterboys, which it's a great way to look at it, right? The kind of the indie kind of punky guitar, but with that kind of Celtic singer-songwriter craft to it, which I think is exactly what they sound like, right? They're kind of much more poppy than a lot of the music around at that time. And having the violin and all of that
pop or plop
makes a big difference. Oh, pop, 100%.
I just wanted to throw in the old game.
You keep trying to bring that back.
It's a good game. I think that wasn't the right time to do it, but it's a good game.
Well, should we have a quick game of pop or plop? I just wanted to bring it back.
Yeah, go on then. Fuck it. Go on then. Let's have a quick one. Go on then. Let's all name a song, and we one each, and we have to decide pop or plop.
All right. I'm going to go for Love Changes Everything by Climby Fisher.
Ah, pop, 100%. Banger.
Yeah.
Obviously pop.
Obviously pop. It's a great one. Yeah.
Dave, come on.
Ocean Drive.
Oh, that's plop.
Oh, that's a hard one.
Biggest plop on the planet. Of course. No, I don't mind.
Yeah,
actually.
no.
Joking
aside.
I'll
go for plop as well. I'll go for plop.
Joking aside, I don't mind it, but I think for the purpose of comedy, I'm going to say plop.
That's pop for me.
Oh, we know that.
I because I watched it I watched the Robbie Williams Monkey movie on the plane, and it was fucking brilliant. So I'm going to put forward "Let Me Entertain You."
I don't like that song, so I'm going to go plop.
It's not his best.
I don't mind a bit of Robbie Williams, but
some of his songs are pretty good.
Angels, 100% pop.
Oh,
right?
That's pop. Yeah.
The one with the horses in it, I like.
Phil, isn't it?
Phil.
It's called.
Okay,
that's my favourite.
Yeah, he had a run.
The film was really good.
It's
brilliant.
Yeah, Guy Chambers and him wrote some good stuff, didn't they?
Yeah, Guy Chambers wrote some good stuff.
Yeah, basically.
All right, let's get back to Ian. Come on, pop or plop over for this week. Tune in next week for another round. They pretty quickly signed to Polydor Records, released 3 singles, one of which you talk about quite a lot in the interview, so I should mention it. It's called Raid the Palace. And do you want some lines from Raid the Palace?
Go on.
Line them up against a wall in Kensington and Chelsea. Don't let them buy you up because daddy's wealthy. Use a key to scratch their car. Use a coin to do the door. Smash the lights. You know it's right.
Oh, geez,
fuck the rich.
There
you go. They've
Dave's
got quite a lot of He's not impressed. No,
he's one of that.
He loves the Elizabeth line. Ever since he's been on the Elizabeth line, he's a fucking royalist, isn't he?
Of course, he's a royalist.
Yeah,
look at him. He's enraged.
I'm not a royalist.
So because they were on Polydor, they got quite a lot of radio on airplane and stuff like that, but they didn't manage to crack the top 40, unfortunately. First album, Fireworks, came out in 1992. Second album, The Sport of Kings, came out in 1993. There was a missing third album that they also made around this time that finally got released in 2023. It's called This Time Next Year.
Right.
Don't know if it's a Fools and Horses reference or not. Might be. And
do like it.
Go on, do it.
Which one?
Fools and Horses impression.
I'm trying to think of the best one.
Oh, you can do Grandad now, can't you?
Why?
Uncle Albert.
No, I'm thinking of Grandad from Bread.
Yeah,
do Uncle Albert.
You used to do.
I've done with one, we see one.
Yeah. Let's move on. And we talk about the interview, but basically, a record company trouble meant that the band broke up in 1995. Then all went to shit, basically.
So what's his Irish roots?
Well,
does he have Irish roots?
Most people in Liverpool do have Celtic
kind
of ancestry, don't they? So I think he's just drawing on that. Yeah.
Partly where the accent's from, isn't it?
Is it? Potatoes.
It's a fine line between Irish and Indian, isn't there, when it comes to accents? He formed Amsterdam in 1999 with guy called Tony Kiley, who was the drummer for the Blow Monkeys, whose name seems to come up a lot on the podcast. I can't remember anything about the Blow Monkeys, but I feel I should.
I remember the name. I don't know much about them. They're a pop band.
Yeah. I think they were kind of part of that kind of Liverpool kind of Frankie Goes to Hollywood kind of 80s kind of pop scene, I think. But I might be completely wrong. I don't know.
No, that seems to ring true. Yeah.
So they started releasing albums by mail order on the internet. Again, he explains it in the interview, so I won't go on too much about it, but pretty interesting stuff. They released 2 albums that way because they didn't have a record deal, so they just did it himself. I think that's kind of the theme running through his story, right? He just gets on and does it himself, basically.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
We'll talk about that after,
And he says, they didn't want the violin and they just wanted it stripped back and stuff at the start. But since then, they've added flute and violins and all sorts as Amsterdam evolved over the years.
Oh, I mean, when they played at Shine On, it was a really big, full sound. The violin or fiddle player was phenomenal. It was just great. It just sounded brilliant.
So they're basically going along. Not much is happening. They're releasing stuff for themselves until he writes their most famous song. Does this train stop on Merseyside?
Does it? Does the train stop on Merseyside?
Why don't you remember? As the song goes. Picked up by John Peel. And featured. It featured in the last ever Festive 50, where John was alive to present it in 2003. Made number 31. Okay. John was upset it didn't get any higher.
Right.
And I'm pretty sure it's John Peel's second favourite song.
What's your evidence?
I don't have much, but Teenage Kicks is famously his favourite song. Right?
Yeah.
The only other song I've heard him talk about with such kind of emotional resonance, apart from like You'll Never Walk Alone, because he's like a Liverpool fan, is This Train Stop on Merseyside. So I'm saying I think it's his second favourite.
Is he from Merseyside?
John Peel? Not quite sure. Not completely, no. But he's a big Liverpool fan.
Well, then that would make sense. Then it probably is. You're probably right. It probably is his second favourite song.
Well, I think like I've got whatever 500 or 600 7-inches above me. I probably in my top 10 of the 7 inches I own. And it's probably one of the most played. I basically, ever since I've got it, every year or so, I take it out and just play it again and again and again until I get it out of my system. Nice. It's just a fucking incredible song,
Yeah.
Should I ask ChatGPT?
What if it's John Peel's second favourite song?
Yeah, I'll say what would have been John Peel's second favourite song.
Go on then.
He's going to say You Never Walk Alone.
On the podcast.
So basically, it changed everything for Ian and for the band. Went on tour with the Wonderstuff, Blue Tones, got picked up by Elvis Costello. Oh, he's an interesting guy. He's like, I think he's like born in London. His parents are from Liverpool, and he's got that kind of Irish, Liverpudlian Irish kind of thing going, didn't he? Elvis Costello.
Yeah, I always mistakenly think he's American, but he's not.
So yeah,
don't know why.
The whole kind of Buddy Holly thing going on, right?
Yeah, I know, but still, even now, even though you've just said he's not, I still think he's American.
Sure, I think I do the same as well, even though I know he's not. Although, so that was like 2003. Finally came out after John's death, actually, 2005, and it's got a little dedication to John on the label. Just says the song is dedicated to the memory of the late great John Peel, 1939 to 2004, without whom. It's a nice little tribute on it. Yeah. So that led them to do one proper album on the same record label called The Journey, the title track of which got to number 32 in the charts, and basically they don't really exist as Amsterdam these days, but since then they've kept going for a while. Ian's put out 4 solo albums, and he tours as a band, which is basically Amsterdam, but it's not called Amsterdam, but it's basically the band. They've just been touring with the Levelers over the last couple of months, and they're just gearing up to do a 20th anniversary of this song, because it's that was 2005 it came out, tour with the full band. And
we're just gonna play that song for like an hour.
Well, I think it's celebrating the album.
You'd like that, wouldn't you?
And all of that. Oh man, it's one of my favorite songs. You listen to it, right?
Yeah, it's great. Yeah, it is a great
incredible
song.
Right?
I don't disagree. Yeah, it's good.
Oh man,
I like it. Dave, have you had a listen?
Yeah, I've had a listen. Yeah,
I think Ian Prowse would be your sort of thing, Dave.
Yeah, I mean, I've been listening to it. Yeah,
I
really
like good songwriter. You like good songmanships, don't you?
Yeah, and I like the violin on the early stuff.
Yeah, he definitely writes a good tune. You know, and he's unashamedly, a lot of it's quite poppy, isn't it? So that's why I said Dave would probably like I do. Quite like it.
Yeah. And we talk about an interview, but he also went back to education and did a BA in history and then an MA in Irish studies.
Dave, fellow MA.
There you go. Thesis: locating the role of Christy Moore in Irish folk and traditional music. There you go.
Don't get many MAs, do you?
Not Dave.
I'm not one.
Yes, you have. Got an
MSc. Oh, he's an MSc.
MSc. Right.
Master of Stupid Cunts.
Is that what it stands for?
Yeah, I think so.
Master of Stupid Cunts.
I'm the master of you two.
Oh, shots fired.
What did he say?
He said master. He said I'm a master of you two. See, master of stupid cunts, isn't he?
Kind of sexy. What does ChatGPT say?
This is quite interesting. Right, John Peel never published an official top 10, but whenever anyone pressed him beyond his lifelong number one choice, Teenage Kicks by the Undertones, he pointed to a very specific runner-up. Does this train stop on Merseyside by Amsterdam?
You joking? You're just fucking. You're fucking with us.
Oh, I'm not, honestly.
Oh wow, that's incredible. If that's true.
Yeah,
why it meant so much. Peel grew up on Merseyside and had an abiding affection for Liverpool's musical heritage.
Incredible.
All right, so let's have a listen to the interview and then we'll have a chat afterwards. Here's Ian Prowse. Enjoy. Ian, thanks so much for coming on. Where are you zooming in from today, anyway?
Liverpool.
Of course.
Of course.
Gotta be.
Of course.
Come on, lads.
Yeah.
Don't know why we even asked.
We knew that really, but yeah.
Yeah.
I saw you at Shine On a couple of weeks ago. How was that for you? Good gig, right?
Yeah. I think it's the 4th time that we've done it. Well, I did it once on a boat, and the 3rd time we've done it, with the full band. And we have the best experience because it worked in various ways for me because I don't consider myself like a heritage sort of musician. I'm still at it, writing songs.
Yeah, absolutely.
In records, constantly playing. So it kind of reminds the people who knew me back from the Pele days, or it did when I first started playing Shine. They would only know the Pele thing because Pele were, labeled as an indie kind of 90s band. But now I think people can watch us at Shine. They know that most of the set is not going to be that. It's going to be A lot of my songs are the things that I've written as I've gone along. So we straddle a few different worlds when we play it. So and I love it. We do fantastic on the merch. It's
Brilliant.
great because I go out and talk to everybody afterwards. And I'm there for an hour. Yeah,
that's good. Did you go? Who else did you see?
How did you find it more? Did you enjoy what we did?
Yeah, I loved it. And I thought it was a really good slot that you had as well. In that room. It's a nice little room, isn't it? Well, not little. It's a big room, isn't it?
I
thought it was good.
Yeah, it was. It was good. It was, but it's always difficult playing Shine On a Sunday because everybody.
Yeah, they are. But I think everyone's sort of in a lovey-dovey mood, aren't they? I just thought it all worked. I thought it was a good time to have it on. But yeah, like you say, it's a difficult crowd sometimes, but everyone was loving it. So.
Well, you got to kind of remember that and go and think to yourself, "Oh, Jesus, everybody's been caning it now for more than 2 days." So you can't just ignore them. You've got to engage with them. You've got to get them. Then we're here to get you back up again. I think if you stare at the floor, you're going to come a cropper on a Sunday at Shine On.
Yeah. No, it went down really well there.
Experience. Yeah.
Were you hanging out with any of the other bands?
Only Miles, because he's a really good close friend away from music in general. We're proper mates. Yeah. So I hadn't seen him for a couple of months. So I think when we finished and I did the merch, I went backstage and we just yapped for a couple of hours because I hadn't seen him. And I don't really drink until I finish the gig, so I can just totally focus on what I'm doing. Yeah. I don't want to miss any lyrics or anything like that. So we just had a drink, and then I watched them, and they were fantastic.
They were good, right? Yeah, they were good. Yeah, they were good. Just saw that you on Miles's page actually, that he's announced that he's playing with you at your Christmas shindig on the 6th of December. Is it?
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, but I see Chris Helm as well backstage. Chris,
he's a lovely. We had him on the podcast. He's lovely, right?
Did you? He's a lovely fella, and we've got to know each other well down the years because he's always out playing. I'm always out playing, and he's had trouble with it and everything. So I gave him a big cuddle, and he seems in much better spirits. So I got to hang out with him. So. For our big Christmas show, we've been doing it for 12 years now, and one of the features of it, as it's got bigger and bigger, is we've always had fantastic support acts. So we've had John Bramwell, who is a songwriting genius. We've had The Men They Couldn't Hang. We've had Space. We've had Baby Bird. We've had the Supernaturals. We've had the Blow Monkeys. And this year, Milo's going to do it for us. Miles and Erica did it ages ago, but he's now, and I have to tell Miles sometimes. I say, you don't realise how popular you are. He kind of lives out in the countryside. I've been to his house loads of times, and it's miles from it. And he will live in his own little world there unless you tell him. So, and the reaction we've had to him opening up for us has been huge. At Christmas, and I'll have to tell him. I'll have to say, you don't realise how much people love you. And I said it to him last year because they did some shows at the end of last year, and they all sold out. And it's been a while since it's happened for them. So he doesn't realise that their fabulous music has kind of resurged. Just organic.
I think so. Yeah. I think so.
And rightfully so, because those songs are just fantastic. So you have to. I have to tell him. Otherwise, oh really? Okay.
That's quite nice.
Yeah.
That's nice. Yeah.
All right. Well, you mentioned Pele. So can you take us back to the late 80s, early 90s? What were you doing? Where were you living? What was going on?
To go back even further than that, I'd been to see the Jam at Liverpool Empire in.
What year were we talking?
1978. It was the first night of their All Mod Cons tour. And I didn't really know much about them. I just went with all of the other kids in our street. I have my council house in Ellesmere Port on the other side of the River Mersey. And everybody was going, so, I just went with everybody else, and it just blew my mind. I mean, for God's sake, and it was everything about it. His bright red Rickenbacker, and he's just whacking at it.
Yeah.
I'd only seen music on Top of the Pops, and that would have been Mud and Shawaddy Waddy and Rubettes and all that rubbish.
Sure.
And, and Ernie, the fastest milk cart.
Sure.
Good tune.
So for this to come on, and obviously your first gig is just, it's unbelievable, isn't it? The noise of the PA and the lights and the crowd and the support act, tickets, everything about it. So when they came on and they weren't being like entertainers, like I'd seen on a lot of acts on Top of the Pops, they were playing as if they were going to die. This is we have information to impart to you, the crowd, which is so vital that, and it brimming with righteous fury, that it needs to be done. And you don't know if by the end of the show that they'll just burn themselves out or whatever. It was so magnificent. And of course, they're playing down in the tube station at midnight.
Yeah,
and it was one of the greatest songs ever written and the best lyric. So I was a goner at that point. I'm 14, and I couldn't play musical instruments. Where I'm from on a council estate, there were no musical instruments. There was none in the family, but I was going to do this, and I was determined, absolutely, demented with it. So I just I got hold of a guitar and I practiced and practiced. It took me years. I wasn't natural. It took me years and years. And eventually I hit a seam of something within inside me. And I just got better and better. And I was always going to write my own songs because that's what they did, And they took off the lid getting into bands because it was the best time ever for anybody, any young kid. I was slightly too young for punk and I was too uncool. But all of a sudden there's all the bands, Ian Jury, The Clash, Talking Heads, The Stranglers, Polystyrene, The Undertones, Stiff Little Fingers, The Pretenders, Blondie. They were all squeezed. They just came week after week. There was these fantastic bands. And wouldn't be inspired by all of this, and especially Elvis Costello, who just became he's become such a good friend later in years, buying his records in 1978. And just lyrically, Oliver's Army, what's that all about? And so you're being, it's Oliver Cromwell to comment on 17th century Irish subjugation under the English crown. For God, imagine learning that shit when you're 14. Like going underground went to number one, didn't it? So you have to go, what does underground mean? And you find out what it means. And it means something political and serious. And Sandinista. What the hell are the Sandinistas? So I'm being remotely schooled by strumming.
Yeah, absolutely.
You're not going to survive that intact and not absolutely love it. So that's where I came in, and I spent the next 10 years after that playing in bands, trying to get a record deal, forming one, all through the 80s. But we just didn't quite, couldn't get it over the line. And we'd written some songs and we were pretty good, but for one reason or another, you needed a record deal back then. There was no, there was no other way.
It's the only way.
Yeah, it was. It was quite a good arbiter of what was good enough or what wasn't. And once you got your record deal, the whole world opened up for you. But we couldn't get one. Then that band kind of fizzled out. We were called When in Rome, and then I heard the Waterboys Fisherman's Blues record, and I felt this thing within me, that it touched me so deeply. The Celtic soul, for want of a better word. And all of a sudden, my songs came into focus, and it started to make a lot more sense. And I had a record deal within 18 months after that. We signed to Polydor when I fought Pele, which was, But I guess for people that looking back, it must have been quite confusing because there was all these other football related bands at the time. I don't know if you remember, there was like Setien and Mexico 70. There's one called Eusebio as well.
Yeah.
And they were all decidedly indie. And we weren't.
Yeah.
We weren't indie in that sense at all. And I didn't consider myself an indie artist because I'm the Clash and the Waterboys, and that's not indie. But so when we got released, I remember at the very, very beginning, people were a bit mystified, expecting a kind of like a vaguely baggy indie thing, and it was us jumping up and down with Hammond organs and fiddles, and so that's how Pele came into being. It was a lot of it was because the Waterboys had opened up my heart to Celtic soul, Irish music, basically.
Wow.
So where did the name come from? Where
football? Yeah. Yeah. Well, he was, I remember it was the first thing I ever saw on a colour television was the 1970 World Cup at my auntie Barbara's. We'd all gone round there, and just the colours, the deep yellow, green, blue short, the crowd at the stadium in Mexico when they won. They beat Italy 4-1, didn't they? Against
that's it.
And it just seemed to bleed off the screen. So it left a bit, in my imagination. They were just incredibly glamorous. And if you're from where I'm from in Ellesmere Port, it's a Liverpool overspill. It's every single person on the street. We were in a cul-de-sac. Everybody's from Liverpool. And Liverpool it's only a few things, and it's music and it's football and politics. So that was our culture, the fashion and everything. And it was, if you come to the city of Liverpool, football is so ingrained in people in the culture that it actually follows you into life. If you go to either of the two cemeteries in the north and south of the city, the graves and the benches and the slabs, they're just festooned in either red or blue. So people's love for football,
so deep rooted.
It's like, I remember watching the Diego Maradona documentary, and when he died, somebody had written on when they won the league, Napoli won the league for the first time ever. Somebody had written on the cemetery walls, "You don't know what you've missed." To the dead inside that's like Liverpool. It's
that's amazing.
Apparently, not a couple of days after, extra graffiti appeared from the dead themselves, which said, "How you missed it," which I love.
That's good,
because Liverpool's a Catholic city, well, so it's kind of it's almost religious. It's intense. Yeah, and I actually bought Tranmere Rovers, so I've got the worst of the worst. So it was in honour of football and Pele, the footballer himself, that I named the band.
Yeah.
All right. You didn't need to get permission to use the name or anything like that.
No, we didn't. He did hear about it. Never got to meet him, but I think he just took it as the compliment that it so clearly was. I don't know what he would have made of us, because he put the car himself.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. If you go on Discogs and type in Pele, you get loads of like Pele albums and stuff come up, right?
Yeah, you do. Yeah. Well, it would have been cosmic to have actually played with him. Imagine that. But there you
Pele featuring Pele.
Yeah.
You mentioned you had fiddle and stuff like that. Did it help that you had the Wonderstuff you mentioned already? They were adding violin at that time. You had the Levelers coming up and stuff. Did that help that there were other bands that were incorporating these instruments?
Yes, it must have. I've just done a tour with the Levelers. We finally got to tour together this year, and
we had Jeremy on. He's lovely.
Yeah, he's a sweetheart. Yeah. They're all absolutely. But when we came out, they were slightly ahead of us, so they'd already had an album, I think, and then they wrote One Way, which is just an all-time classic song,
anthem, right? Yeah,
absolutely brilliant, and still to this day, what a magnificent record. So our record company were constantly phoning up their record company saying, because they were happening, they were happening all over the place, and saying, "How are you doing it?" And I think our marketing man, Polydor M&G, they failed to understand that actually the Levelers were a separate phenomenon. I was saying this to Mark when we were on the road. Was what I loved about them at the time was they happened without the say so of the NME. In fact, the NME hated it. And they just happened as a phenomena amongst the traveling movement and amongst that specific world that they addressed. So they rode into town on the back of that and some magnificent songs. So, but I always felt that the Levelers kind of, they kind of doused themselves more in English folk music, whereas I was more in Irish. So there was a distinction between what we were doing. And there were quite a few other bands at the time. There's a band called from Derby. What were they called? Who had the fiddle, but the music press didn't like any of us. There was a certain somebody should write a thesis on this about why.
Luke, you do write theses and stuff.
I do. Not about music, but yeah.
Okay, well, yeah, I've got a master's degree in Irish studies. So
I was going to ask you about that a bit later. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, we'll get to that. But there was a snobbery, and I wouldn't use the word racism because that's too strong, but certainly an ethnicism. That's not even a word. But against fiddle. As soon as the NME, those mostly southern middle class trendy, who
heard all about them.
Yeah, let's hang around with the Happy Mondays because it'll be a bit edgy. Take drugs with these scallywags from up north. As soon as they saw a fiddle, they immediately got their backs up, and they should have judged us on our music, And I stand by. We still play all those early Pele singles, "Raid the Palace," "Fair Blows a Win for France," "Fireworks," and I'll stand by them. And they should have judged us on that, but they didn't. They said they ignore you. I mean, we got a lot of live reviews and album reviews, and it was uniformly positive. But the NME, for example, they never did a feature on us, and they never backed us in any way. None of them really. We did a couple of features with the other, but none of them really got behind us in the way they would have got behind, I don't know, Menswear, who were fucking rubbish.
Yeah.
So, but they were part of the.
I'm a big Menswear fan, but go on.
Sorry.
All right.
I don't mind a bit.
I'll retract that.
It's fine. No, I don't. Keep it in.
But you know what I mean. You know what I mean.
I do.
So it was a clique, and so we kind of it was so funny because the record company put out "Raid the Palace" first, and their idea, and we were like, yeah, because we recorded the album, and they went, let's put out "Raid the Palace" first because there's it'll never get airplay because of the lyric. It's essentially it's about regicide.
Eat the rich, basically.
Yeah. It has a chorus with no lyrics in, but and their great marketing plan was we'll get ignored by the radio, but because it's a left field anti-establishment, anti-monarchy socialist anthem, the music press will pick up on it and we'll get a thing going with them, and that was their plan, and it sounds pretty it's a good plan. Anyway, the music press completely ignored it and they put it on the A-list for 7 weeks.
Oh wow, there you go. Despite that,
you'd be in Chippy, you'd be walking down the street, and you'd hear "Raid the Palace" banging out of, and not a single DJ or person mentioned the lyrics because they didn't listen. And we got on Saturday morning kids telly with it because they just heard the chorus, which doesn't have any lyrics. It's just na na na. But listen to the lyrics. People are being put up against walls and shot. Being destroyed, and all of this. Youthful exuberance.
Sounds like sensible policy to me, but yeah.
But I'm 25 for God's sake, sure. And it's and that kind of tells you the whole story, really, doesn't it? Yeah. So that was always an uphill struggle for us because these publications came out every week. They were the bastions of indie, whatever that was. So, and I heard. Steve Lamacq actually wrote a really great review of us, and he basically, he said, this is really good music. It might be too uncool for some of you, and actually being judged on the music, but he did, he lauded it. And essentially, they were like, we can't back you now because you're a radio band, which is all just the absurdity of the
that doesn't make well, yeah.
So
fast forward a couple of years and you get Britpop and then they're all over the radio, right? Yeah,
exactly. It was just bad timing for us.
Yeah,
because Megalomania went on the playlist and Fair Blows the Wind for France, and getting on the BBC Radio 1 playlist was just gold, and it was the one thing they all wanted to do but pretended they didn't, because the other thing about the time was they all pretended they were indie, but they were all on imprints on majors.
Exactly.
The whole thing was fucking phony from start to finish. So it was, if somebody says to me about Pele, my first emotion that comes to me is frustration that the timing was slightly wrong, and that you kind of get labeled and lumped into something that it's not what you intended, and there's not much you can do about it. Because as I said, I'm from the tradition of the Waterboys and the Clash and that sort of thing, and that is a million miles away from like an indie whatever. So that I've never considered myself an indie artist. It's because it's not.
So you said like Lamac said they were maybe you're not cool enough for the NME crowd. Is that because you were too accessible or too poppy? Is that what that meant?
I don't know because in 18 months there was hundreds and hundreds of Britpop bands,
all making pop music, basically.
Very poppy, accessible music, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And so, if that was the case, guilty, Your Honour.
Sure.
If I was when we were kids, people used to use pop, the word pop, for everything, because London Calling would be pop, and Town Palace would be pop, and Golden Brown would be pop. So what they were was just fantastic songs.
That's it.
Pigeonholing was something I'm just trying to write the very best songs that I can, and I'm not trying to be spiritualized with space jams or anything, because I don't fucking like that sort of music.
Sure. That's fair enough. So, that is fair enough.
So that was it, really.
Yeah. Can I go back to Raid the Palace? So you said, like, Liverpool was football, music, and politics. So we got the football, we got the music. Was politics a big part of your songwriting as well, or is it still?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we sing. I think we played Raid the Palace at Shine On, didn't we? I think we did. And we did. Yeah, and it was. And it's politics is more interesting now than it's ever been, because we've had the Corbyn phenomenon blew the lid off everything, in terms of exposed everybody for who and what they really are. And when I was young, I kind of had a great teacher when I was doing my A-level in English literature. I had a great old Welsh teacher, and he kind of exposed me to the ideas of socialism. And it was the miners' strike as well. And we'd had the Falklands War. So you're going to get politicized. Yeah. We had Billy Bragg, and we had the Jam and the Clash. So I'm getting politicized by all of this, Who wouldn't be? You can't live through the Thatcher era and not be politicized by it.
Yeah.
So that was, but I wouldn't pigeonhole myself as a political singer, because there's so much more going on, I wouldn't paint myself that corner. There's as many heartbreak songs or songs about the struggle of life, or these days the joy of becoming a father, as there are about anything else. It's because that's life's tapestry, isn't it? But politics is important, and I am a Republican, so I'm made up now, looking back, that they put out Raid the Palace as my first statement to the world. It's lovely because it's a statement. And now, all these years later, I stand by it, even more so. And not a lot of artists have actually done that. We started work on a brand new record yesterday, and I'll tell you this. There's a song on it about the Manic Street Preachers, and the reason is because we had an opportunity of some mild socialism under Jeremy Corbyn. For the first time in my life, we had a genuine manifesto that that people could believe in, and people rallied to it. The party expanded, and he was done in by his own party. Which
pretty much
lifted the scales of all of our eyes. Well, actually, these are this is your enemy as much as the Tories and all of that. And that's been shown by what Storm is doing and saying right now. And during this time, we were all trying to support Jeremy as socialists and all of that, and saying, well, if this goes, this is our only chance. And the Manic Street Preachers who rode into town on revolutionary chic and going to see Fidel Castro and all that. Not even a single fucking tweet in support of him. In fact, they went in the Guardian and backed him off. So I find that annoying that you've come into town on the back of this. You've used this and exploited these ideas, and now it's a chance. You've turned your back on it.
Yeah.
So I'm wrong about them.
Interesting.
Good, man.
Exclusive for you.
Yeah, can't wait to hear that.
I look forward to hearing that.
But so I still feel as to answer your question, I still feel as committed and as obsessed with it and driven as I ever was. And I hesitate to call myself an activist because there's people out there who do so much more than me. All I do is write songs and sometimes argue with people on social media. but people out there who are genuine activists and dedicate their lives to it, and I like the rock and roll lifestyle a bit too much to be that dedicated, Springsteen said I like the pink Cadillac too much, but I'm kind of a hybrid of both things, I guess.
That's fair enough.
I was trying to do research for this interview and about Pele, and everything just got drowned out by like record company nonsense. Everything I tried to find out about the band. I mean, how badly did you get fucked over by the record company?
To be honest, we put out the Fireworks album, and it did really well, but it didn't get them that much money back. But they stuck with us, and we did the Sport Kings album, and then you could feel as though things. You need luck. Everything has to fall into line, and we were just slightly out of step. And I could feel that it wasn't, it wasn't about to happen for us. So they picked up the option to make a third album. And then the guy who signed us, Steve Kuttner, who went on to be a huge football agent after that, he left and he actually changed sides and started managing us. But the new guy who came in, a guy called Jack Stevens, he was into dance music. And he saw us as the other guy's signing and the other guy's child, so to speak, and didn't, was kind of wasn't on side with us. And the first band that's happened to that internal politics, and we won't be the we wouldn't have been the last. And so he kind of said, I want you to go solo, and I resisted that because I didn't want to be, I want to be in the Clash. I don't want to be George Michael. Maybe looking back, maybe I should have. But it was kind of like at this point they dried up the money. And we had to go to court to try and get the money, which they legally owed us, but they could tie us up in knots. And while Britpop exploded, every single band had supported us on the road. So, Cast, Sleeper, Travis, all of them had opened up for Pele. So that was me just sat there going, oh, for fuck's sake. While they overtook us and became household names, and I was there with my hands tied in litigation, and had to sit it out, and it was awful.
That's frustrating.
I never stopped writing songs, so I just carried on. Eventually, in about 96, 97, I think the lawyers got together and they just freed us up from the contract, and we just walked away. We had other things that we had to financial things that had to be tied up, but that was it. So, and then I formed Amsterdam. So that was I was never ever giving up, But it was a pretty grim time, really.
Yeah, it sounds it. Yeah, it does sound it.
So what did you want to do differently with Amsterdam? Or how did you want it to go differently?
Yeah, that's a good question because the fiddle went out immediately. We said we want to sound completely different, and we're aware, I guess, that there's it's guitar-based bands which are really happening. So that was we went on that. I'd kind of with the fiddle music, the new songs I'd written didn't really have it in there. The third Pele album, which we'd actually recorded but never came out until like 2 years ago, was in the it was in the basement for 28 years. It didn't really have much fiddle on. So now I'm writing a whole bunch of new songs, and they didn't. So, but they were pretty good. We there's a couple of really strong songs, and we kind of got back out there. But our timing was bad now because the music industry was beginning to change. At the very beginning of Amsterdam, the music industry was starting to change because the forerunners of Spotify and X Factor were and if you were over 30, according to the record companies at this point, you were dead in the water. You were it's guitar strings, and so getting it, even though we'd got some really strong songs and a lot of people were interested in it, getting a deal appeared to be, really difficult. People were coming to watch us, and there was a lot of positive noises. We were here we go, we're going to get, back inside. But it just, again, never got it over the line. So it was at the end of Pele was difficult, but this was even more difficult, to be honest. This was awful because all of my money had run out by now as well. I had to go. I had to limp back into Ellesmere Port Job Centre after all of my Pele publishing money had run out, and just sign on again 10 years after I'd signed off with the deal originally. And that was
that's difficult.
Brutal.
Yeah.
But I got to be honest with you, I had a mate, a good mate, and he said, "Oh well, you had a go, eh? You had a crack at it, and you had a good go round and everything. Time to join the real world like the rest of us now and get a job." And I just looked at him and went, "Mate, this is death or glory. I'm either doing this
I'm not done yet."
Yeah. When you weren't, Yeah.
No. So, and whilst that's exactly what I was going to do, it does kind of put all your eggs in one basket, and existentially leaves yourself nowhere to go if it's failing. If you can't make a bob out of this in order to exist, you're struggling. Yeah. I used to go busking before Pele, but I couldn't go busking now after Pele because that was too much like a public admission of failure.
Right.
I kind of had to. How am I going to do this? So I was really struggling at this point because there's no dough, and I'm signing on, but they're on my case, to get a job. There was one woman at Ellesmere Port Job Centre. She was like the port's version of Margaret Thatcher, and she had me in her cross. I'm going to get this bastard a warehouse job. He was every time I go in. If I got her, my heart would sink, and she'd go, "I'm sending you down for a job interview down on Cheshire Oaks at Gap Warehouse." And I would go, "Oh, okay," and I'd go down and just purposely fuck the interview up,
Yeah,
of
course.
Or I'd say to the guy, "I don't want this job, please don't blow me up." All of that sort of shit,
Yeah.
Wow. All right. And I know you've talked about it a lot, but we do have to talk about "Does This Train Stop on Merseyside?" It's an astonishing song. I got it here. I bought it when it came out. It's
nice one, mate.
Incredible song. Can you talk us through writing it, I guess?
Well, this is just the next bit of the story after that, because I'd written all of these songs, and some of them were really good. "Taking on the World" and "Love Phenomenon," they couldn't get us over the line. And we'd decided to put out an album on on our website. We were one of kind of the first bands, because we couldn't get arrested at this point. We got a website to get, and I realized that if people sent us, he put the address up and said, there's an album. So it was completely self-financed. And we just went, well, maybe somebody want this. There's an album called Attitudes of all of these new songs. In 2001, I think it was. And I'll never forget, we put it up. First album I've released in 9 years, first ever Amsterdam album. Blah blah blah. All you have to do is send a postal order or a check to this address where I lived, and we put it up and waited. And I used to go downstairs. I lived in a flat above a shop, and the door was downstairs. And I'd look round the corner, and not a single one on the mat. Second day, nothing on the mat. Third day, nothing on the mat. And I thought to myself, well, that's it. All those gigs we did with trying to get a fan base together, it's finished. It's over. And I am completely, now unheard of. And I was so dispirited and down. I remember on the first day I came down and there was about 60 envelopes on the mat. Now, that's 60. There's only 60, but fuck me, it was everything because somebody's interested. I'll make records for the rest of my life for these 60 people. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's it.
And it just gave me an incredible boost that somewhere was interested. And also that this internet thing worked, albeit on a very small and low level at this point, it worked. It now works on a big level,
Yeah.
But then it was on a small level. And so we did that. And within a few weeks, I wrote Does This Train Stop on Merseyside? Because I got an email round robin. I just got an email address, the first ever one, and I still have exactly the same email address. And I'd read a story which had been doing the rounds about a ghost called William James Mackenzie, whose bones were interred in this really spooky pyramid on Rodney Street here in Liverpool. And the reason his bones were interred in the pyramid was because he was involved in an altercation with the devil, who said to him, I'm going to come for you when your bones are in the ground. So Mackenzie tried to cheat the devil by having his bones above the ground. He lost in a card game because he was an ardent gambler. And the strangest thing about Mackenzie, which scared everybody he knew, he was a 19th century incredibly rich merchant, was he was an atheist. And people avow their atheism then because religion has a big grip on society.
Yeah,
much so than today. And he would tell people I'm an atheist, and it would freak them out, And so it's a brilliant hokum ghost story. So I just wrote the opening lines: Mackenzie's soul lies above the ground in that pyramid near Maryland, and the rest of it tumbled out in 15 minutes.
No
which
way.
must have all been in there, waiting, because Liverpool it punches so much above its weight in global history. With
absolutely.
slavery, famine, and everything. So it just all came out. I paused to do the lines about the Bulgy murder and Hillsborough.
Oh man, they fucking kill me every time. Those last two lines, man.
I guess they are always going to be the most
devastating
and famous lines I've ever written.
Yeah.
So it was the anniversary yesterday. So
that's right. Yeah.
Hillsborough is the defining event of my generation's life, around which everything else goes. I have so many friends who are survivors, and they've all reacted to it in different ways. And there was 3 lads from Ellesmere Port who died there. So, and we can all vividly remember what we were doing and how it was at the time. So it's such an important thing. And obviously the city suffered a double tragedy, because within days, the people who were there were being blamed for the deaths of their fans. Yeah. But that was a double tragedy, a hit up on the city. And but it's Liverpool, so we fought back, and that is why it's an important song, I guess. And for me, though, I didn't really realize it. I just thought, that's a good song, because it's great. Played this to my producer, and he just laughed at me. It's the best thing you've ever given me. What are you thinking of? Just saying it's all right, So we recorded it quick and immediately. And I've told this story before, but we still couldn't get a record deal. But it had only just been recorded, and it took its own peculiar journey away from me, because people liked it so much, and I was of all of these negative things that happened to me post Pele, at the end of Pele, trying to get Amsterdam going, it kind of got to the very, very bottom of the wheel when my girlfriend fucked off with somebody from work. And I was like, she was also in the band. So it was Jesus Christ. And we've been together for 10 years, 11 years. And she was a vital member of the band because she's a great player.
Yeah.
And I didn't kick her out the band because I thought I'll try and be the bigger man and go, it's probably half my fault that you've left and blah, blah, blah. And
try to do Fleetwood Mac.
Yeah, I do Fleetwood Mac, without the cocaine, but I'm on the floor, and eventually I did sack her because she brought the new fella to a gig, and I said, that's an excuse. See you later.
That's a bit much.
But I will say I probably deserve to be dumped, but there you go. At this point, I'm sat in a pub, my local pub, and I distinctly remember it. I was literally crying into my ale, drinking way too much. And this fella came in. I'd seen walking round. I'd seen him in the pub before. We'd never said anything to each other. I didn't know him to talk to. And he walked in and he just shouted across the pub to me. He said, "Hey, Prowse, you've just been on the radio there. John Peel's just played a song of yours, a song about a train." And he got really emotionally upset when he played it. And I looked at this fella like he was insane. I said, "We haven't got a record deal, mate. Nobody has it. We've only just recorded it." And I couldn't believe it, But I was obviously thrilled as well, because getting played on the radio back then was such a big deal, and John Peel as well. And the fact that he had this reaction. So it turned out that it was a guy from Liverpool called Phil Hayes who ran a venue called The Picket, and Phil knew everybody and helped every band and was right in the middle of the music industry in Liverpool, and he's still around to this day. And he'd made a CD with 20 brand new Liverpool songs on, and he knew Peel, so he gave it to him. And John Peel ignored 19 of them and just started playing ours. So that was how it got to him. But I didn't know any of this, because I didn't even film the CD to give it to him. And at this moment, it was a pivotal moment in my life, and everything just started to turn, and we got a record deal within like a year, and we just slowly started to climb back up the mountain. And like Jonathan Ross started playing Does This Train, and people in the street I remember went to watch Tranmere once, and this guy came up into the toilet and started singing it to me.
Oh, that's nice.
Okay, thank you very much. But I'm having a piss, mate. How we get me? So that was it. I was back inside. I've been wondering. The door was closed to me, and all of a sudden it opened again, and I was back inside after such a long time. Felt like I was wandering, punch drunk outside the music industry. I was trying everything, and that song. It's not just my most famous song and a really good bit of songwriting. Saved my arse, maybe life.
Yeah.
So it's important in that sense as well.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure I was listening to John Peel that first time he played it. So I think, that's why I've got the single. Yeah.
Thank you so much for buying it when it came out.
Oh, mate, it wasn't just John Peel. Everyone, I've never even fucking been anywhere near Liverpool. I had the same reaction, man.
Well, it's funny, isn't it? Because it's like songs about New York. Or like Springsteen. One of my favorite Springsteen songs is a song called "Racing in the Streets."
Yes,
and it details car parts. Got a '69 Chevy with 390.
It's a beautiful song, man. Oh, what a great one!
And a hearse on the floor, all car parts. I haven't even got a car. I've never had a car. I'm no interest in cars at all. And yet that song just cuts me up completely, because not really talking about cars. He's talking about human beings. And I think what songs say about New York, or, you know, you don't have to be from there. You don't have to be in that to appreciate the emotions that have been invested into the song.
Yeah.
That's probably the
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Can you talk a little bit more about the songwriting process? I mean, you know, a songwriter is what you are, basically. Can you give us a bit more insight into how you go about crafting a song? It's a skill, it's an art, right?
It is, but there's the thing about it, and it's kind of infuriating, but there's a magical element, or an element over which you have no control at all, and the song is the slave of you, and you're not the slave of it. I remember once I bumped into Dave McCabe at the Zootons, and we were in the street talking. I said, you know, what you're up to? I said, Thursday I'm going to London to do a writing session. And I said, what do you mean you're doing a writing session? I said, the publishers have booked me in with someone. We're going to sit in a room, we're going to write. And I went, I was curious, you know, because great songs don't work like that.
See, I've always been curious about that. Yeah.
You're telling the song, right?
Yeah.
And we're going to sit down. So if you'd like to arrive, then, you know, it's almost, if you're forced to write a song, it's almost always shit, you know. So the song tells you when it's here. It's a slave to you. You know, you're a slave to it, not the other way around. And all of a sudden, if you're playing your guitar all of the time, which I am, so your musical engine is all running. So that's important, I guess. So, and then something will come out, you know, an idea, something maybe you want to write about, some great chords, a lovely melody. But it's still got to have something about it which no human being has ever heard before, a slight variation on, you know, on that mode of chords and words and whatever. Otherwise, you don't want to just do what you've done before, you know. Artists do that, but I just kill the idea at birth if it's that, because I don't want to, you know, just make another album which is exactly the same as the album I've made. So, and I have a really good producer who tells me off if I ever give him any of that. And
that's good,
so that, but you have to wait for the inspiration. And I've sat round for 18 months, 2 years without anything. And at that point, especially as you get older, you think, well, that's it. I'm dried up, over. I had a good run, got some good songs. You know, I'll just have to make my living from playing the older ones and whatever. And you essentially think that that's it. That little bit of magic that you get gifted from wherever it may be is not going to happen again. And then, of course, you get one, and then another, and a record starts to formulate in your head, and then it might flow a bit easier, or like 3 might flow, and then there's nothing for 6 months. Which, when you consider it, is a really weird way to make a living. You're not in control of this. You know, that you kind of going, right, I've got to pay, Rosie needs a new bike for birthday, you know, or whatever. And I got to earn some money. I got to pay the rent, got to put food on the table. And I've only got 5 songs, you know.
Yeah.
And everything I try and write to add to it isn't good enough. So it's a really strange way to live your life, I have to say.
Yeah.
Interesting.
That's how it works for me anyway. I can't force it. And we started recording in earnest yesterday, a new record, and we've got like 14 songs. I think 11 will make it. But the producer wouldn't even let me start the process until we had enough good songs, because you know, we're not doing we're not going to just do what we've just done. We've got to add something slightly different each time. We've got to break a little bit of new ground in what you're writing about.
That's good. It's good. Yeah, it's good to have someone like that pushing you along.
Well, I mean, all of the, you know, like Bowie or the Beatles is the fucking classic example, whereby they wrote a song and then they immediately dismantled the way they wrote it, so they can go from, you know, Love Me Do to Tomorrow Never Knows in a couple of years, which is just always the benchmark of you know, music.
Yeah. You mentioned earlier that you did a MA. I was wondering whether that kind of academic discipline transferred across to your songwriting.
Yeah, I reckon it probably did, because I got some songs out of doing the MA. Some stories. There's a song off the first solo album called "The Murder of Charles Wooten," which is a story about a black seaman here in Liverpool who was murdered by a racist mob. So I did a song for him, and I juxtaposed it with the racist murder in 2008 of Stephen, and so I got that direct from learning modern history, and then there's a song called Joseph, which is kind of an answer song to the famous folk song Grace, about Joseph Plunkett, who was executed, and he got married just before he got executed in Kilmainham jail for his leadership part in the Easter Rising. So I got little songs from the things that I'd learned. But as you will know, pal, being an academic it can be a lonely process. You spend hours writing things in the library. When I did my dissertation, I think it was 25,000 words, and I did it on Christy Moore and his role in Irish folk and traditional music. And I had access to Christy because he'd become a friend having done my song. And but most of your hours, I spent a whole summer just on my own, didn't see anybody. And it's a kind of you're either doing this or you're on. So there's no, you must know that much more than I do. You do have to be hard on yourself, don't you? How do you find it?
Well, I enjoy it. I enjoy the process. I got a record player in my office. I just sit there. I just bring a stack to work, and I just sit there. I just listen to album after album, and just write and write and write. Yeah.
But I can appreciate how that would be a joy, actually.
But I do have to isolate myself. I am shutting myself off.
I had a thing where I had to go into the university library, so I'd go in at about 6 o'clock in the evening, and I'd stay there till 4 a.m, and that worked for me because there's nobody around. But I had to be right. I couldn't do it at home, and my brain would only work in that. It's weird
in that space. That makes sense.
I guess what the same process that I would use for that, which was a real robust and tenacious dedication to it, is the same thing as being a musician and a songwriter, isn't that? I'm pretty bloody-minded about I just won't give up, I will just keep going, and I'll be tenacious. And I always say that my career is a bit like the tortoise and the hare. It's like, well, the others went round the track really quickly and had these hits and whatever. I just slowly went round, and I'm going to climb this mountain really slowly, and to the point I've got to now where am I most successful, and you make your most money and all of that sort of stuff. So it which kind of reflects upon the shine on thing, in that I always think a lot. I did an interview while I was there this time, and I said to the guy, I'm kind of the only act here that didn't have the big hits in that way. They were minor hits, the Pele songs. Certainly in the UK, we had like a #1 abroad in South Africa with Pele, and I think Portugal and Holland we had hits. But in the UK, they were like minor sort of hits. Whereas, if you go and see a lot of the other bands, they had fucking, like there are a lot of them, my mates, Dodgy and Space, fucking big hit. We don't really have that. So we're a bit of an anomaly at Shine. And Does This Train was after all of that. So and my other really much loved song from that era is a song called Home, which I put out in 2007, and then they weren't part of that ilk of that indie sort of thing. So I slowly went round and round.
Way to do it. The marathon, not the sprint. Yeah.
When I look back on it now, fucking hell, how did it keep going? You
did it the hard way.
I just did.
You mentioned racing in the street earlier, and you've been called the Scouse Springsteen. What do you think about that label?
Mate, it thrills me.
Sure. Right.
It's just because it's basically because I just love him so much. named my daughter after one of his songs. For fuck's sake.
Wow! Oh wow! Are you all in? I mean, I'm only up until and including Born in the USA. I'm out after that.
Oh no, I'm
You're fully. Okay. Yeah.
My favorite Springsteen album was the next one he released after that.
What's that? Tunnel of Love.
Tunnel of Love is my favorite set of Springsteen songs because
I tried. I couldn't get into it. Yeah.
He kind of turned the attention to detail on himself and his broken heart from his marriage. And the second side, there's a run of 4 or 5 songs.
Okay. I'll give it another try. All right.
Yeah, it's beautiful. One Step Up and Valentine's Day. That was what got me into Springsteen, and then I went and found everything else.
Oh wow! Okay,
especially with the kind of a live stuff, the live box set album, the 5 album thing. So yeah, I'm all in. I'm absolutely all in. There's and it's not just the music; it's the way that he does things. It's the fact that he can. The Western Stars album, for example, has 5 brilliant songs on it, which are worth your attention. And I would just love to think that I could still make records when I'm 72 or 73, which would have something to say. And had something new on them, which was really good, which I think he manages to do. And so yeah, I watch him like a hawk.
All right, that's good.
I fucking love him. And we went to see him last year in Madrid.
And does he still play those massive 2-3 hour sets? Does he still do that?
Yeah. It was about the 30th, 40th time I'd been to see him, and he was as good as I've ever seen him. It's always deeply emotional. I spend most of the time watching him, but because I've been with him now for 40 years almost. There's a weight to it all that you carry with you when you're with him. So you've been on the journey with him, and this is not just for Springsteen, but for other music that you love. There's a kind of weight.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So it means more because you've spent all this time together.
Yeah.
And I get that at our gigs. People come and they come and have a chat at the merch stall. They kind of feel like that. They've been on the journey with you. And so whatever he's doing, whatever angle he takes, I'm always inspired by it. There's always something you can take from it. He's not just being a heritage act. He's always got something else on the go. So
yeah.
That's
well, it takes us right back to where we started. So that's great.
Yeah.
All right, Neil, do you want to ask our final?
Yeah, so we asked all our guests the same question. So if you could have been in any other band from the 90s, who would it have been and why?
Oh, it's a fantastic question. Wow. Any other band from the 90s? He cast my mind. I'm trying to. Travis wrote some great songs, didn't they?
Did in the 90s.
That was, yeah. But they wouldn't have. Their live thing was. I would have been a bit more jump up and down, a bit more upbeat. Having just seen the Levelers every night on tour, they would be a really good one. Maybe I'd try and drag them away from the English folk thing more towards the Irish.
Right.
Sure. I was the lead.
Get some of that.
Not as good as Mark does it, but so maybe them. Any ideas? What would you want to say?
Well,
it's up to you. Yeah.
We get all sorts on it. The Levelers is a good one.
It is a good one.
I would have absolutely loved to have sang Sense by the Lightning Seeds. That's one of the greatest pop records ever made. And Ian's such a lovely guy as well, and my mate Martin plays bass for them. So I would have loved to have crack at singing that song. That would have been great. So yeah, maybe I can just go from band to band.
All right, you just stop being a traveling musician from band to band.
One song there, and I always loved, what was that song? If You Don't Want Me to Destroy You by Super Furry Animals.
Yeah,
that's great. Yeah,
think of that one. So I'll just be a guest appearance.
Just pick and choose.
Sure.
All of them.
There were some great songs, wasn't there? You know.
Yeah, they really were.
So the album that you talked about before, that is under Amsterdam, is it? Not a solo album.
Which one?
The one you've been recording yesterday. Is that?
Oh no, that'll be Ian Prowse. We stopped.
Okay.
We did a best of in 2012, and then from that moment on, I've released all of the albums as me, and I've done 4.
So it's by yourself. Okay.
Yeah. Who Loves You Baby, Compañeros, which has Desi Warren on it, which we played. Here I Lie, the song about my daughter, that's an album, and then One Hand on the Starry Plough. So the next one will just be the next. I've followed the same trajectory as both Paul Weller and Mick Head, in that we've had a band, then another band, and then they put all the stuff out.
Oh, good shout out on Mick Head there. Nicely done. Okay, good.
It feels like the right thing to do. But if I play live, because I wrote all the songs in Pele, all the songs in Amsterdam, and all the songs, exactly the same thing.
Sure.
There's no like, oh, well, that was something completely different. So when we play live, I play songs from my whole era. You know, why wouldn't I play?
Of course.
It's you know, I wrote.
Of course.
It's a vehicle at that time for whatever I was doing. You know, so yeah.
And when can people expect it to come out there?
That won't come out until next year, because we've only just started, and a lot of studio arguments before we get to the. But it's right. For me, I'm just relieved that the producer goes, yeah, right, you know, 11, 12's really strong songs. Let's get it going. And there's a variety of subjects that I'm singing about again, and I just try and connect with other people's lives. You know, that's my thing, or have something to say. Yeah, as Springsteen says, your job as an artist is to make other people interested in your obsessions. You know,
that's it. That's right.
I like that.
And it's true, isn't it?
Absolutely.
So there we go. Yeah. So I am the hardest working musician going. I never stop. I'm not playing band shows. I'm doing acoustic shows, making this record, looking after my daughter. I run a club at the Cavern every Monday for up and coming artists. And I like going to the pub and watching the football as well, so I never stop.
Here we go.
Where can people find out about what you're up to these days, Ian? Where's the best place?
Yeah, just put my name in Google and there's a million things in there. We the Amsterdam website. If you join me on social media, I'm one of those artists who I got really savvy, and I realized the power of, you know, this new digital world pretty early on. So if somebody messages me and goes, what time you're on stage, I know a lot of my contemporaries are annoyed by that. You know, they get a message on social media like, you didn't ask me this before, you know, the advent of the internet. Well, I answer people, they go, 8:30, 8 or whatever, because the wall has gone down between the, you know, the artist and the man. Kind of I appreciate this is the way that things operate for us now. Most of it takes place online. So if I put up saying, like, for example, we're playing in Leeds, I'll say, well, Leeds, and people ask questions about the night, I'll answer them. Because it's different now, you know, and we're on tour, people want to know about something, I'll just answer it. I don't consider myself above any of that. And the upside is you gain loads of new mates. You know,
it's just nice to chat to people, right?
Fucking mates with them all now, you know.
It's good.
It's great.
That's good.
All right. It's and some people didn't make that transition. I know of artists. And that's not a criticism, really. It's just they don't feel comfortable really in the digital world.
It's difficult for some people. It is.
Yeah. All right. Thank you so much. I'm going to stop the recording, but don't jump away just yet. But thank you so much for your time.
Thanks, lads.
There we go. Ian Prowse. Dave, did you enjoy that one?
Yeah, what a nice guy. Yeah, I liked him a lot.
I did as well. It just seems like a genuinely nice chap, right?
we had quite a good chat after as well, didn't we? He was really friendly and really interesting.
He invited us to go and see him.
Yeah, playing in Shoreham, I think. Soon. Yeah.
Well, he was. I couldn't make it, otherwise I would have gone. But yeah, I'm going to try and get along to one of his other shows. I'm going to try and wangle a ticket for that show, that Christmas show with Miles Hunt.
Oh, with Hunt, that'd be good.
Yeah, that would be good.
And what a fucking story, right? What a story of redemption and success against the odds. It's great.
I just don't know how anyone can persevere for that long without jacking it in. Fair play to the guy. Countless opportunities he had to say, "Fuck this." It's not.
And like he said, a lot of it was just bad timing, right? It was the quality was there. It was just the timing and everything, right? Yeah.
No, yeah, it is an amazing story of. Well, he's probably at the height of his popularity now, right? He's quite big deal these days.
Yeah, yeah. And it's through sheer hard work and determination and being a nice guy and a great songwriter, of course.
But yeah, just the perseverance is. Yeah, I find that amazing because, like I say, I was in a band.
Were you? What were you called?
But we were doing it for like 5 years, and that seemed like a really long time.
Why did you give up? I never thought you would.
But they were more successful than you from the beginning. Right?
Yeah. All right. We supported the Cheeky Girls.
Beat that, Ian.
But, I'm just saying it is because you have to put quite a lot into it, rehearsing and all that sort of stuff. It's just a lot of, to keep going for that long.
But he couldn't do anything else, right? You get that feeling, right? He's just he's a born songwriter, and he literally couldn't do anything else. That's who he is.
Well, he said that, didn't he? He through interviews.
Yeah, that was funny, right?
Like Spud on Trainspotting.
Yeah.
He said, "Death or glory," wasn't it for him with music? It's I'm all in till I die, basically.
Maybe that's why you didn't make it, Neil.
Maybe. Do you know what I mean? Maybe if I had persevered, it's unlikely, but maybe that is what you just got to be laser focused and just keep going. Like I say, it must be quite draining if you're not really sort of at the heights of success that you want to be at.
Yeah, it's probably the best story we've had in terms of almost failing.
Yeah.
But then succeeding.
Yeah. It's great.
Apart from Neil.
Now he's got like a really loyal fan base because he's done all that groundwork. His fan base now are really, really loyal to.
And he's been doing it since like the start of the internet, right? So he's been building it up all that time.
Yeah. So solid fan base. Fair play to the guy. Fair play.
Did anyone ever make a mug for you? Did any fans ever make a personalised mug?
No.
No, there you go. That's the difference, right?
In the early 2000s, did you?
We had mugs in the 2000s.
No, we didn't.
We didn't.
Just had to use our hands.
I know. Scoop hot tea.
Yeah, it's interesting his friendship with Miles Hunt, because obviously they were at Shine On as well. And I just think it'd be really, well, I don't drink, but it'd be nice to go for a drink with those two. I can imagine it wouldn't be a short of conversation. Really good little chat. Obviously, they're both troubadours musically, but also just in general conversation. Like when we had Miles on, it was really good.
He was brilliant. Well. Yeah. It was funny that he was talking about how he doesn't know how popular he is and the Wonderstuff are. It doesn't surprise me.
Yeah. But yeah, it would be good to hang out with those two. I reckon it's not going to happen, is it?
You never know.
I don't think they're going to invite me for a drink.
Do you think you're going to hang out with Ian and Miles before I hang out with Biss?
I reckon it's more likely, to be honest.
Could happen, because if I go to this Christmas show, there's a possibility.
Yeah.
Whereas there's no possibility of you hanging out with Biss.
You're stuck on the other side of the world.
Let me down gently.
Yeah, only for that reason. You're in the wrong country.
Right. Okay.
That's all I was saying. Yeah, massive Jam fan.
Oh man, to see the Jam in '78.
I think you got the wrong end of the stick.
Bon Maman is the best.
Which flavour?
Sorry, raspberry.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I get through about
bastard.
40 jars of Bon Maman raspberry a year.
By yourself or as a family?
40.
I eat
That's
the
a
most
lot.
of it.
Hang on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's about 3 jars a month.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you do with it?
Well, I eat most of it. Elias has quite a
Fucking
bit.
paint it on your balls.
Do you paint it on your balls to get your dog to lick it off?
No, dogs don't like sweet stuff.
You tried it then.
If I,
You tried,
Yeah.
obviously tried it, yeah.
well, I'd have to use gravy or something for that.
It's
I wouldn't use the jam.
Yeah. I fucking love the Jam. I think like they're probably my number 2 favourite band behind Nirvana ever. Jam.
right. See, I've
They're
never
not.
really.
You're lying.
They are. Yeah.
You're not. It's
What about
probably some.
Fugazi?
Oh fuck yeah.
Yeah.
But even like the Jam, the Jam have got everything. They got the look and everything. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I've never a massive fan. Don't know.
Oh man, there's no one cooler. Well, except Crime, but they just looked cool as fuck. Short, sharp, fucking brilliant songs. Political. That's great.
I don't know. Maybe they weren't poppy enough for me. Don't know what it
Give them
was.
another listen. There's plenty of pop in there.
Don't mind them. You know, I don't mind them.
Hmm.
I don't like Paul Weller's solo stuff. I've never been a fan of that.
No, it depends. Some of it's good.
Don't mind a bit of Style Council.
Yeah, same.
See, that's the
Yeah.
sort of Weller era I like.
Yeah, that's far more poppy, but yeah. But yeah,
Yeah.
Jam, fucking brilliant, man. It's interesting that he'd said they're not like cheesy entertainers. And we kind of forget, like, before punk came along, that's what music was. It was
Yeah,
guys
that's
with
true.
big collars putting on a show. And it was like, you know, hey kids, we're here to entertain you.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
you know, punk changed all that. That was interesting to hear.
No, they're definitely a great band. I don't know. Never really been that mad about them.
Huh. All right, let me make you a Jam playlist and I'll change your mind.
Yeah, do it. All right, do that.
All right.
But I did
all right.
like his when he was talking about when he went to see the Jam and the idea of going to see your first live gig, because you know we've all done it now. We know what it's all about, but you don't know when you go to your first gig. Do you know what it's going to sound like? You know, you've never been in front of a huge PA before, and it's all new. And I remember when we went to see Senseless Things, because we always say that they were the first band we saw, but they weren't really, were they? It was Leatherface,
No,
because they were the
Support band, yeah.
And now I remember when they came on, and it's just so fucking loud.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
You don't know where
Yeah.
to stand. You don't know what to do. It's all new, isn't it? You forget that. Everyone's had that first gig experience, haven't they?
Yeah.
Let us know in the comments your first.
And he
gigs
spoke about it so
experiences and
passionately and eloquently. It's great to hear.
stuff. Mm,
Yeah. And I
yeah.
linked to that. I thought it was really interesting. He talked about being educated by music. He learned about politics and socialism and stuff.
Being remotely
from
schooled
music.
by Strummer.
Yeah. It's brilliant, right?
And I think your early politics for most sort of teens is formed by, I don't know if it is these days, by music, right? I guess for us it was the Levelers. They were our first sort of
And
thing
Smash.
into
It's a
politics.
big one for me.
Smash, yeah, Smash, but they came
It's the
after
main one, I
Levelers,
guess.
I guess. But
The Levelers was more vague. The Smash was much more focused in its politics.
yeah, true.
It's big for me.
Is it? In what
Yeah.
way?
Well, Smash are a very political band.
Yeah,
what-
they name
what's the-
names. They, you know, they
Yeah.
names to it. You know,
Yeah, they say what
I don't know. I'd have
they mean
just
it,
said
man.
Levelers was more political, but
I think it's more like ideological, and I think Smash is more political. And specifically saying Jill Shepherd's got an appalling unemployment record. That's as narrow and specific as you can get, right?
It's a great line.
It's good. It is good.
So Ian's a Republican then.
Yeah, not like you.
Well, I was going to say, none of us. I mean, we're all Republicans, right?
I got a great 7-inch single. It's by Chloe Poems called "The Queen Sucks Nazi Cock," and it's been removed from the internet. Like I tried to find it. Like I tried to find it to post it on Facebook at the time of when she passed away, and it's just gone. Even from YouTube, it's just gone.
Didn't get
Yeah.
in
It's
the
a bit
shot.
unfair, though, isn't it? Her uncle did, but not her dad or herself.
Oh, I
Yeah.
don't know, man. I think Prince Philip is a pretty fair description. To be fair, I'll see if it's back. If it's back on Spotify, I'll put it on the list
Yeah, whack it on.
on the mix. I don't think it will be.
I don't think so. Obviously, Liverpool features quite heavily in this episode. It's a great city, right? I've only been there a couple of times, but I enjoyed both of my visits there. But just in terms of like music, politics, culture, it's up there with Manchester. It's one of those cities, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's right next to
Yeah.
it.
And I think there's a real commitment to the craft of songwriting, isn't there? That's come across with the northern bands we interview more, I think.
But Liverpool, it's always been a bit sort of outside the rest of England because of its like attachment to Ireland. They've always,
you think?
like, you know, I know it's Hillsborough, but not having the sun.
Yeah.
the
You know,
Hillsborough.
you can't sell it. They were completely pro-Labour all even through Johnson's time.
I don't know. It was just coincidence. Weird. I watched which I routinely do. I don't know why. I've got a bit of a fascination with Hillsborough. Not like I don't know. I still find it quite horrifying, the whole thing, that it was allowed to happen and penning people in. It's just something about it that's just
It's the cover up, though, isn't it?
incomprehensible. Yeah, they're just treated like animals. I was watching a documentary on it last night, and I mean, like he said, it's the defining event of his generation, especially in Liverpool.
Yeah, well, that's what makes the final line of "Does this train stop?" so devastating.
What is the final
people that don't
line?
know it? It says Yorkshire policemen chat with folded arms while people try to save their fellow fans. So the policemen are standing around doing fuck all when they know this shit's going down. The only thing they can do is try to help each other out, right? And it's just devastating line.
Yeah,
right?
it's really fucking awful. And the fact that no one ever really paid for it, it's just fucking, it's just not right.
Weren't you a Liverpool fan?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was. Going off on a bit of a tangent here, but in the 80s, there was just the health and safety was just so, there wasn't any, was there? Because you had that Bradford City fire. There was a documentary on that the other day as well. But especially in football, they just didn't give a shit about the fans. Their safety just didn't matter. You know, everything was just so basic and made of wood, and everyone was smoking. And it's just like,
But it was cheaper.
It's
it
true.
was cheap.
You could afford a ticket.
It was cheap.
That's the difference.
True.
At least you could go.
I mean, you're risking your life each time, but it was cheaper. Yeah.
Yeah.
Much
Before
cheaper.
that, it was like the hooligan fucking nonsense, wasn't it? People like throwing darts at each other's and shit like that. It's
Throwing
horrible.
darts at each other.
Yeah, he used to throw
Fucking
darts
hell.
into the opposing
What, just
stand and
launch
shit.
them into the
Fucking hell.
fucking hell.
Yeah.
Jesus
It's
Christ.
fucked. Yeah, in the early 80s. Yeah.
That's like medieval stuff. Like,
It's horrible. It's horrible. If you want a history of Liverpool, just listen to the song. It's all in there.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, just go and listen to that song. My next point, I've got the enemy getting wound up by fiddles. But it leads me on to another point that I've sort of been thinking throughout this sort of our chat is I don't know what the difference between a fiddle and a violin is. So I just always call them violinists or fiddlers because I don't know which.
I didn't
what.
know there was a difference. But Luke, is there a difference?
There must be a difference.
I have absolutely no idea. Ask ChatGPT. Is it the kind of music that's played? So if it's playing like Celtic music, does it become a fiddle?
No, I think
if it's playing
the
classical, is it a
instruments are
violin?
different. I think the instruments are different somehow.
Is it smaller?
I think it
Is
might
the
be the
fiddle smaller?
size. Yeah, I think it might be the
Because
size.
it's more fiddly.
Maybe.
They're the same instrument.
Oh.
The difference lies in how the instrument's played and the style of music.
There we go. I was right.
Okay. So
Luke was right.
we can call them either or.
Yeah. Well, depending on what music we're talking about.
Oh, so we still can't call them either or. Still got to call them fiddler or.
Yeah.
You
If
know,
you
it makes
better
it
not
even
get it
more
wrong.
difficult. Enemy didn't like them anyway.
No. And he said, interestingly, that the level has happened without enemies' permission. And that's right. That whole kind of like New Age traveler movement was outside of the enemy purview, you know.
Yeah, they built their own sort of following around.
Yeah, and they had their own kind of venues, their own circuit that was outside of, you know, the kind of the indie scene. And it worked, right? Because it just grew and grew, that movement. It's amazing.
They just happened to write really good songs as well, which is why they sort of became so big, I think.
Oh, can I can I interject at this point? Well, one band that were also part of the same movement is Chumbawamba. So I got challenged by listener Austin Smith, who also appeared on last year's end of the year episode. So he challenged me to listen to their first album. I can't remember, it's called Anarchy. I think it's called Anarchy or something like that.
Yeah.
And so I did.
Yeah.
And so Austin, I did my best. I'll tell you what, I'll give it 9 out of 10 for the lyrics. Maybe like a 3 for the music. I just couldn't get on board with the way it's delivered. I like the message. I like the cut of their jib, but the music and the vocals, I just couldn't get into it. So I tried, and I'll give it another listen in a couple of weeks' time. But couldn't. It didn't convince me, I'm afraid, mate. I apologise.
I think it's a bit of a generational thing with Chumbawamba. I think if you go a few years older than us, they're much more loved.
We caught the mainstream Chumbawamba, didn't we?
Yeah.
No, we didn't. We saw them before because they kept turning up to every fucking free Heineken festival with their stupid fucking jester hats and ridiculous names.
They were still singing
No
Tub
Bacon,
Thumping.
Alice Nutter. Tiki Tiki Time Bombs on that album that I listened to.
That's why we hated them, Tiki Tiki Time
That's why we
Bomb.
hated them, yeah. And I don't know, it's just a bit, I tell you what, it was a bit kind of cabaret, you know, like, and I just, not for me.
That
I'll
same
try again,
festival, they had Dr. Fibes and the House of Wax Equation, and he killed his mum.
Right.
What?
It's true. It's not funny. Killed his mum.
Do you remember when Dan But No Bacon poured water on John Prescott?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
That was good. It doesn't even work. The joke doesn't work. Egg but no bacon doesn't sound like Dan but no bacon. It doesn't make sense.
Yeah, I forgot about Tiki Tiki Time. Well, that's why we didn't like him. It wasn't anything to do with I Get Knocked Down, was it?
It's way before that. It was Tiki Time Bomb.
It was that Tiki Fucking Time Bomb. Yeah.
I tried us in. I'll try again. I will. I like the lyrics.
We always try our best. We do listen to it. You know, like we say, it's good to disagree about stuff. Not everyone should like the same music. Really bad timing for Pele, wasn't it, with that record label nonsense?
That all happened in '95.
Could have been the kings of Britpop.
Well, they had the pop now, sorry, didn't they? So it was interesting. He said, Cast, Sleeper, Travis had all supported Pele, and then they all just, you know.
I wonder if FMB played with everyone.
All right, Roger, if you're listening, let us know. Yeah.
But they just got stuck, didn't they, with that record deal problem?
Yeah.
It's like so cruel. They could just have to sit it out. Imagine that.
Yeah, because he's so driven.
Yeah, exactly.
Really did sort of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then his girlfriend left him. It was also in the band.
And I made my comment about trying to do Fleetwood Mac.
Yeah. That was good.
Yeah.
But he rose from the ashes, a phoenix from the flames, and wrote the best song of his life. It's amazing. And he wrote it in 15 minutes. Well, most of it in 15 minutes. That's incredible.
Yeah, I do believe him on that one. I don't think Ian would lie to us because Dave doesn't believe people sometimes.
I know. I mean, I don't mean unbelievable literally. I mean, like, it's incredible that a song that good and
because he's a lyricist
so quickly.
First and foremost, isn't he? So I can imagine the words just sort of come out of him when he got a song like that.
Yeah, it's a cool little ghost story you told as well. For the first part of the song, it's great.
Yeah, I like that. And that was how the song sort of came to seed, wasn't it?
And then
like
it talks about
stories.
The slave ships coming into port. And, oh man, it's got everything in there. There's a ley line runs down Matthew Street. So Matthew Street's where the Cavern Club is, right? So you've got the Beatles. Oh man, it's all there. I presume that was a reference to Julian Cope, another great Liverpudlian, right? He's into all of those ley lines and Stonehenge shit, right? Jamie Bolger, slavery, the Beatles, Hillsborough, all in one song. It's ridiculous, right?
Yeah, I might make one about Seaford. Put in the man with the thing on his head.
Yeah.
Legend.
Bagatelle.
Sheldon, the local Nazi, neo-Nazi.
Could do it, actually, couldn't we?
The Urban Spaceman. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely a song there. Maybe that's my route in. Could have a hit with that.
Smoking fags in the crowd. There's loads of stuff. Yeah.
Maybe we should all collab on this one because the train does stop at Seaford.
Yeah,
the last
it's the last
stop,
stop, isn't it? Yeah, we could probably
So
make
there
that
could be
part of
some-
the key focus. All right, we'll work on it. Yeah.
And again, for no reason to disbelieve him, that he's seen Springsteen 30 to 40 times.
It's amazing.
Fucking hell, it's a lot, isn't it?
It
That's
is a
lot
lot.
of times to
Yeah.
see some. I guess
a
he must
commitment,
just see
isn't
him
it?
every time he tours.
Yeah.
You do get people
Just
that
want
do
to
that,
make
don't
one complete aside about racing in the street. I was talking about this to my American colleague the other day. Why do Americans always know the year that their car was made? And why do they fucking insist on mentioning it every time they talk about their car? And who gives a fuck whether it was 66 or 67? I hate that. Why is that?
I like
You're
that.
right.
I'm kind of
We don't
obsessed with
say,
it now.
I've got a 67.
Of course you don't. You don't care. Nobody
Chevy.
knows.
But people don't really have
Exactly.
old cars over here, do they? Like they do in America.
But even then, like fucking hell. I was watching the Straight Story a little while ago. It's about this true story. This guy rides like a ride on lawnmower to go and visit his dying brother, and he goes and gets it fixed. And even then, the guy's like, what is it, 66, this engine? 66, 67? It's a fucking lawnmower, you cunt. Why are you so obsessed with what year the car was made? Oh man, it's one of my big obsessions, and I notice it everywhere now.
Is it just
Anyway, go on.
America that
Sorry.
does that?
Yeah,
Well, that's a good point to make.
yeah.
Yeah, it's 30 to 40 times you've seen Springsteen.
Never seen it.
I haven't seen him. I remember watching his when he played Glastonbury it must have been about 10 years ago now, on telly. It was fucking good, actually. Do like
Yeah.
a bit of the boss.
Yeah, he's great.
Everyone likes a bit of
his
Springsteen,
autobiography's
don't
good
they?
as well. Yeah. Actually, after we had this conversation, I went to my shelf to listen to Tunnel of Love, but I sold it.
Yeah, I like him.
Oh man, Darkness on the Edge of Town. That's
good
my
bloke.
favourite Springsteen album. Have a listen
I
to
just
that. That's incredible.
I think I just like his really commercial stuff.
Born in the USA. It's great.
Yeah, all that stuff. I like his point because that's what I was getting up to. He's seen him all those times. The music becomes more, when you follow someone for so long, it's more, you've been part of their musical journey all the way through. The music becomes more meaningful in a way, right?
Have you got any artists like that you've been like a fan of that
I don't
long?
know.
That consistently?
I think the closest for me is probably The Cure. I've never been to see them, but there's not many bands where I listen to each album they release, but I have done.
I'm still not convinced that you like The Cure.
Yeah, I just made it up. Trying to sound cool, isn't I?
Oh yeah, that goth period he had.
Yeah.
Well, I was a goth.
Fucking hell. Dave, if you got an artist like that you have a deep relationship with.
Maybe the Blue Tones, I think. I've
They
always
released
listened
like
to
2
all their
albums
albums.
and only got
They've
2.
had loads
and
of
one
albums.
Have
They
they?
have a fucking load. Yeah.
Up there. Well, there
You
you
listened
go.
to all of them?
We didn't know. Dave's
We
been
didn't
following
know.
them. We haven't.
Yeah. Got new songs out as well.
I guess, Luke, for you, that Mogwai would be a good example. You kind
That's
of
a really good
have
example.
always,
Yeah.
followed their journey.
100%. Yeah. That's probably the best example I can think of because they've consistently released albums at a pace, basically at a regular pace, and each one I've that's probably my answer.
Oh yeah, Neil's had a birthday, isn't he?
Oh yeah,
I did,
happy
yeah.
birthday, mate. Yeah.
Thanks, yeah, 39.
What?
48. How does it feel? One step
Shit,
closer
innit?
to the big 50.
That's just shit, isn't it? No, it's to be
Yeah.
50, don't I?
I don't mind. It's all right.
Yeah? I don't.
Yeah.
Just think how recent the 90s feel.
Yeah.
And with that time again, we'll basically be dead.
Thanks.
That really gets me, gets me down sometimes, that thought.
Yeah, it does get me down. So why are you fucking trying to make it worse?
I'm just saying, it's
No,
not
you were
bad-
trying
it's
to
not a
make it
bad
better,
age.
but him, he's
Dave.
like, fucking doom scary.
I've got no longevity in my family.
Mm.
All right. Big heads,
All
though,
right.
aren't you?
Yeah, I've got the big head.
Yeah,
That's
there
the
is
problem.
that.
That's the problem.
I realise it's only thanks to the size of my head that I'm still taller than my daughter.
For now.
Like,
Just
she's
it's
taller
just
than
the
me
head.
shoulder-wise, but because
Yeah.
my head's so big, I'm still a bit taller.
Has she not taken
Yeah.
on a big head gene? She must have got
No.
a small one from
No.
Victoria.
Well,
Oh,
Yeah.
that's good.
It's a bit
I don't think
disappointing.
that
You haven't
gene's
passed.
dying. Maybe that gene's
No,
going
we
to
need to
die out.
continue it.
I think probably for the best. I think that gene is going.
Your son
Going,
can have the
going,
second biggest boater at whatever fucking posh university he goes to. All right, should we finish by talking about the songwriting? That for me, that was probably one of my favorite parts of the interview when he was talking about that. It was.
Yeah, I like you always ask that. It's always good.
What do you think about his answer?
It rings true, doesn't it? That it's sort of the song's controlling you. It's that bit of magic you're waiting for. I think that's the experience for most songwriters, isn't it? And then, but there's just one or two that manage to just churn them out on demand, like Taylor Swift or something. I mean, songwriting for her is not the same, is it? She probably does a smash hit a day.
Yeah. Well, you know, like they used to do in the 60s, like the Brill Building, all of those. Their job was to sit and write hits, right? And Motown, their job was to sit and write songs day after day.
That's true.
So it can be done.
It'd be great
it can
to be a
learned
true
like
songwriter, wouldn't it? It'd be great to be a true
like Ian.
songwriter.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, well, like most of our guests, well, all of our guests, you know, get a bit jealous, don't I? Shouldn't really do this.
But like you said, it's no way to make a living if you're waiting for, you know,
No, but
you
that's
rely
true.
on inspiration
That's
to put food on the table. It's
Well, I think that's
it's
why
not easy, right?
unless you're really invested in it, it's very easy to just go, fuck this, I'll get a job and
Yeah.
make some money, which is what most of us do in the end, who've been in bands, you know. But if you really if you're that invested in it and you can't, that's a different thing altogether, isn't it?
And it's kind of linked to it, but I thought it was really interesting for the final question that we always ask. He focused on individual songs rather than on bands, right? Again, it just shows how songwriting is so central to who he is.
Right, that's it for this one. Thanks so much for Ian for coming on. If you are watching this, then please do give it a thumbs up, subscribe to our channel and get involved in the comments. Let us know your favourite Ian Prowse stuff, tracks, gigs, all that sort of stuff. If you're listening, rate and review. Don't think anyone does that anymore, but do that if you can. But share it with your friends. That's the best way. Tell them you listen to this podcast every week. It's really good. And direct them to us and they can find it. Just do that. Remember, you can sponsor the podcast, Stupid and Contagious, podcast@gmail.com. If you want to promote something, give a shout out to someone, send us an email and we'll do that for you.
If you're new to the podcast, welcome. A couple of people mentioned, so Miles Hunt, we've got an interview with him in our archives. There's a couple of others that he mentioned.
Chris Helm
as well. Yeah, of course. So Chris Helm as well, we interviewed. So if you're new, go back and listen to those. And also, as we mentioned a couple of times, I make a mixtape for every episode. So I'll put, there's not that much on Spotify actually, but I'll put a few Pele tracks on there. Some Amsterdam, a couple of Ian's solo stuff, and some other stuff that we've talked about today, and stuff that Ian was talking about in the interview. I'll put a nice mixtape together for you to listen to.
So join us next week for episode 93 of the Stupid and Contagious podcast. Dave?
See you in a minute.